I've come to realize that being yourself is very difficult. Authenticity is very hard to find nowadays. It's kind of hard to find within ourselves. And why is that the case? Why is being candid, why is being just true to yourself so hard? Why is that so confusing? Why do we not even know ourselves nowadays? I think that's because of the society that we are currently in. In the age of social media, ads, having everything at our fingertips, we are fed so much information. We are fed so many opinions of others, so many perspectives, so many ways of living that we should adopt, so many things that you are told that you are not enough in, so many things that show that what you're doing right now is not enough. And that takes away our authenticity, especially when this happens for years and years and years. And that's why I'm making this video, because that's been my main focus, is truly being authentic, truly being myself, not putting on an act no more, not trying to please other people. And yeah, just taking off that mask and truly embracing myself. And I've realized that's a hard thing, because for years I've been influenced, just like most people. I was on social media, I was watching TV, listening to music, and all of this, it's fine, I guess. But slowly but surely through the years, as time goes on, we are subconsciously being directed into a direction. We were being directed into a direction. We were being led off of the path. And what is that path? That path is authenticity. It is, we are being led astray to our higher self, to that inner voice that is truly us, that is authentic, that spirit inside of us. We are being we're being led away from it. And the way that happens is by just kind of fogging up our mind, by removing that clarity from our mind. And this happens, like I said, with all these different opinions we hear. We hear these opinions and it makes sense to us, so we kind of adopt them. Slowly over time, we adopt them. We listen to music, and that kind of influences us in a certain way. We care about what these celebrities have to say. We wear clothes based on what other people think. I'll get into that later. But nowadays, authenticity just simply does not exist. Everyone is putting on an act. Everyone is looking for external validation, because that is what is valuable in today's society. Validation. How many views you can get, how many likes you can get, how many subscribers you have, how many followers you have. That is what is valuable today. And I guess people have realized that not being authentic is what gains those subscribers, gains that attention, is by putting on an act that people want to see. And that brings me into external validation. And I think external validation in our personal lives is the thing that, like I said, takes us off that path of authenticity. Because we realize there are certain things about us that we do not like, right? And that's where the ego comes in. And the ego is not your authentic self. Your ego is what thinks is right. It puts on an act, right? And that's where external validation comes in. We start to take action based off of how other people are going to react to it in a positive or negative way. We don't want to look like a fool, or we don't want to be cringy. Because what does cringy mean? Cringy means that other people are perceiving you in a negative light, and we don't like that. And often being our authentic selves and expressing who we truly are is cringy. I used to think this way, where expressing myself made me uncomfortable. I thought it was kind of cringe to express my emotions and express how I truly felt about certain things. I used to run away from that. So, me running away from that took me off that path of authenticity. So now I'm acting for external validation. And the funny thing is that external validation is so volatile. It changes so much. It is never guaranteed. The way people perceive you will never always be certain. It will never always just be one thing. Over the weekend I watched the fights, UFC, and if you guys know, Conor McGregor fought. I'm pretty sure everyone knows who Conor McGregor is at this point. He was on top of the world at one point. He brought in the most sales. He was the money man. He put on electric fights. People loved him. He was the people's champ. He had people, tens of thousands of people chanting his name on his side, cheering for him. He was on top of the world. The people loved him. All of the external validation that we could dream of, he had, right? And the fights were on the weekend, and he broke his leg, which is unfortunate, but it happened. He broke his leg, right? And as he was walking out, all those people that loved him at one point, all those people that cheered his name, that tuned into his fights, they booed him. At his lowest moment, he was walking off the stage, broken leg, head down. At his lowest moment, all of that external validation completely flipped. External validation is volatile. It is never guaranteed. It is always changing. It is unfair. Because he went out, tried to fight, freak accident happened, and he couldn't fight no more. And all the people that loved him at one point booed him off the stage. They hated him. And that really made me think, what is the point for external validation? What does that do for us? External validation is an unquenchable thirst. It is an unquenchable thirst because it is external, because it is out of your control. And who says they'll love you forever? Conor McGregor is a perfect example of that. And that made me think, what is even the point of putting on an act? What is the point of trying to please others? What is the point of not being authentic? Because if you live for this external validation, I've realized that it always feels like something's off in your life when you are acting. You see this with rich people, successful people, where they have all the money, they have everything that you think you can want, all the possessions, right? But there is still something missing. And that's why I always say that only the internal can truly fulfill you. Truly. The only thing that can fulfill you is your internal. Nothing external can quench that thirst. And I think something that can quench our thirst, whatever thirst that may be, is being authentic, being led by the Spirit. Because that is truly the only thing we can control, right? And that's something I've been striving for. But like I said, it's not easy. Being yourself nowadays is not easy. I've been experiencing that. They say, oh, listen to your heart, follow where your heart pleases. But at this point, your heart is artificial. Your mind, you can't even follow your mind because that is now tainted by all of this outside noise, by this act. Like I said, we're led off that path of authenticity, and once we realize we're on the wrong path, we don't even know the way back to authenticity. We have become detached from being authentic. And this is something I'm still learning on how to be authentic. It is not easy nowadays. And what I've been doing is obviously getting off of social media, because that really helps your higher self, your heart truly come out. The authentic side of you that now raises to the surface, because now there's no outside noise to tell it what it should be thinking. So this voice finally comes out, right? But then now actually putting forth the act of being authentic. I think to start off, you kind of do have to act. Funny enough, because I just talked about for 10 minutes how acting takes us off the path, which is true. But I think because we don't know how to be authentic, we have to now act authentic, because being authentic is not our natural state. That is not our baseline state nowadays, because it has been taken away from us. So now we have to really sit down just with our thoughts and truly understand ourselves. And we have to, be out in public and catch ourselves when we're acting. I've been doing that, where sometimes I realize I'm acting. I'm doing this, so I hope that I can be looked at as a funny person or as an attractive person. I'm doing this and that. Or I'm saying this and that to make it seem like my life is full of success, full of this and that. So you gotta catch yourself. That's what I've been doing. I've just been catching myself. Yo, you're acting, dude. Like, why are you saying this? That's not even you. You don't even think that. And it's not something obvious that we do. Every day that we live and we're acting, it's not like we're conscious that we're acting, because after a while, when we're constantly doom scrolling, constantly watching TV shows, constantly caring about what other people say about us, it subconsciously rewires us. So now we've kind of been taken over by this manufactured way of living, a manufactured personality. Your personality has now become something that is being built off of the external, by what they're telling you. That is what your personality is being built off of. Even trends. Like people wearing Sambas, that just bothers me. Or seeing people wear Birkenstock clogs, that just bothers me, because like, you are not being authentic. That bothers me so much. Trends bother me so much when I see people wearing the same thing, because it's like, dude, think for yourself. Please. Like, if we can be influenced, a majority of society can be influenced on what to wear, what shoes to wear. What do you think happens to the way we think? How we're being influenced to think? So, I don't know, just remove the noise, please. Remove the noise. Find that true inner voice that is authentic, your higher self, and allow that to lead your life. And you realize also, your authentic self, at first you probably won't accept, you probably won't love. Which makes sense, because you've been running away from it. You've been off the path of authenticity because you didn't like your authentic self. And that's okay. But you need to learn how, this is a whole different topic, but learn how to love the bad sides of you. The sides of you that you don't love, quotation marks. Because the sides of us that we don't love, our ego overcompensates for, and that's where the act comes in. Because we are acting like something we are not, because what we are, we don't like. That's a whole different topic, and that's something that I don't know if I'm qualified to talk about, because I'm still working on that right now. And that is a whole can of worms, you could say. Embracing your shadow self. But that's what I'm saying. I'm learning. And I'm trying to integrate being authentic into my life. because that is the only way to live. That is the new, that's valuable nowadays, being authentic, because nowadays everyone is fake. Everyone is fake. Now, Instagram, people are posting only the best sides of themselves, what they think other people would like. That external validation, that is volatile. So, be yourself, be authentic, listen to that voice in your head. Stop being so influenced. Like, think for yourself, take control of your life, of your mind. And trust me, you will feel a lot better. I feel a lot better. I'm still, like I said, I'm still in the process, but being authentic just feels right, because that's the way we're supposed to live. We're supposed to express ourselves and love every part of ourselves. So, if you made sense video, I appreciate it. Like, subscribe, comment, share, do all that. See you next time.